Yep.
So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Mike, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Next matter of business is approval of the minutes from the November 1st regular meeting and the November 14th special call meeting. You want to do them one at a time?
Point of order. How about we approve the agenda? Motion to approve the agenda as written.
What, this is the minutes from the last one, not the agenda. Yes.
Okay.
Am I good? Or
Well, actually, the
you want?
point of order being that the agenda probably should be approved before.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll come back to that. Thank you, Larry. And do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Larry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, carries 4-0. All right, now, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 1st regular meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
I have a question. Did you make the changes that I sent in? Okay, perfect.
All right. This is for the November 1st meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the November 14th special called meeting?
Motion to approve November 14th special call meeting.
Second.
It was a contest. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Is there any old business? Okay. All right. New business is to certify the December 6th runoff election. In our notebooks, we have all the numbers. Stacy, any explanations?
On election day, we had 7,114 ballots cast. Advance voting, we had 5,676. Absentee by mail, we had 554, and we had one provisional that was approved, which was a total of 13,345 for election day, or election totals. And then I included that same report that I included last time up for the provisionals, or I'm sorry, the absentees. We had 542 absentee by mail, and then we had an additional 12 UACAVA, which is the electronic ballot, which will equal that 554. And I know Becky had asked me a question, I believe it was yesterday. If you look down at the totals, there's the totals at the top from election day, advance voting, absentee by mail, and provisional. And then if you look down at the breakdown where it has the race and it has election day, advance voting, absentee, there is a 4-vote difference. The reason for that we have found is during early voting, it happened several times, and it pretty much, we can guess, probably happened the same thing with absentees. People got in a hurry. They printed out their ballot, or they thought they made the selection on the BMD and they didn't hit in the area that was calibrated. They printed it and they didn't have a vote on it. So there's a 4-vote difference. And when we go through to do our risk limiting audit, we'll probably be able to see which ones those were. We were able to locate one and we know that's what happened, and I figure the other 3 are probably the same. A ballot was scanned in the scanner, but because they didn't make a selection, it didn't give a vote for either candidate.
And I will say that having been at the early voting, one of the things that was very confusing at a few points for certain people is the very bottom of the screen, knowing to push next and print and whether or not they actually made the selection.
Well, I know there was one voter who voted and didn't hit the button, just hit print. And, you know, when he looked at it and realized it said that he didn't vote for anything, he said, well, I didn't know you had to mash the button. So, and I think because the process took longer than actually voting, I think by the time people got in there, they were kind of in a hurry. And if they didn't mash where it's calibrated to mash the selection or to press the selection at, they did it in such a hurry and then hit print, and that's possibly what happened. They just got in a hurry.
But don't they get a warning, like you said,
They
that
do.
one guy? So they just ignored
They
the
just hit
warning
print.
and just went right on?
They just hit, yeah, because it's,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
They came in thinking
Mhm.
exactly how they were going to vote,
Right.
and it didn't translate onto the screen.
So,
Got in too much of a rush.
yep. All right, any other questions for Stacy, anyone has? Any other questions about the reports? Did you see? 56%.
I think we were 65 in the general, 65 in the general, close to it. So, not too bad.
What was it, has anybody heard what the state total turnout was?
I want to say it was
I
similar.
don't know, percentage wise.
Yeah, I want to say it was in the 50s,
How much?
in the 50% range. I
Okay.
heard someone say, but
Okay. I haven't heard.
All right, do I have a motion to certify the December 6th runoff election results?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Thank you. Okay, the next matter we have before us is looking ahead to 2023 and qualifying for the municipal election. We will have elections in Jasper City, Talking Rock City, and Nelson City. So we will have those under our election office. And Stacy, if you want to explain what the city has asked from us.
Well, it's just my office's job to set the qualifying dates, and in the code book 21-2-132 3A states that for municipal elections, it has to be at least 3 days, no more than 5 days, and it has to start between 8:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the evening.
To qualify.
Yes, ma'am. I have to run this in the legal organ twice before February the 1st, so that's why we're going ahead and talking about it now. I propose that we hold 5 days, Monday through Friday, for qualifying, because we do have the city of Jasper having 2 city council seats in the mayor's race. So I think if we hold it for 5 days, you know, that way anybody gets the chance to qualify. I know back in November last year, we only held it for 3, but we didn't have a whole lot that was going on then. So I say for this one, it's probably a good idea to hold it for 5.
Are you thinking of Monday through Friday?
Yes, it has to be
It
Monday
has to
through
be
Friday.
consecutive, okay. That's what I thought. Anyone have any other questions?
How many races is Talking Rock have they got? I know they got the mayor, he's got to come
Yeah,
on.
Talking Rock has the mayor
Probably
and
2 post seats.
2 council seats, and then Nelson has just 2 council seats.
Okay.
And I think I said that Jasper has 2, but it's actually 3.
Mhm.
3 council seats and the mayor.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're scatterbrained a little bit.
I'm tired.
I wouldn't blame you.
Any other questions? All right, so I will entertain a motion if anyone would like to make for a 2023 municipal qualifying for 5 days as recommended.
Motion to have 5 days qualifying for municipal elections.
Thank you, Larry.
Second.
Okay. All right. They were both saying it at the same time again, so thank you, Becky. Any other discussion? All right, All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, carries 4-0. Thank you. Okay, the next item of business predates me. I believe there was at one point a hope to do a poll worker appreciation dinner. So it's on the agenda tonight to discuss that and see if we could come up with something that we'd like to do, because our poll workers did an outstanding job. It was a very busy election year for them, so if we could let them know, because we're going to need them again, how much we appreciate them just besides saying nice words. And so apparently a dinner was something that was mentioned before, I think by you, Mike.
It was.
Okay. So Stacy, what are your thoughts on?
With the board's permission, I want to start working on that in January. I know we had talked, there were a couple different ideas around about possibly doing something after every election. Well, this has been the year that it's been an ongoing election. And I just think it makes it a little bit easier, instead of doing it a couple times a year, just to do something really nice for them once a year and do it in the year that we don't have as many elections going on. So in January, I'd like to start working on planning that, try to pick a date. I don't want to go too far out, because they'll get busy, and I don't want them to think that they were unappreciated. So I'd like to try to get something mid to end January, beginning of February scheduled for them. We could possibly use the rec center and do it in the room that we had early voting in, and get somebody to come in and cater it, and just show some appreciation to what a good job that they did this year.
Check with Family Traditions on catering.
I'll have to get
Yeah.
bids because it's for the county, but yeah.
And I'd throw them in the mix, because we had them cater our church dinner at the college, Chattanooga Tech. Yeah, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
Do you get 3 bids, Stacy? Yeah, so I recommend Sharp Top Catering. They've done several bids, either for organizations that I'm involved in, for me personally.
I have no recommendations. I don't know anybody that caters.
All right, well, you'll have a choice then of one as well, so based on the, okay.
And because this is not factored into the budget, we'll need a board's vote on it, because I will have to transfer from a line item to cover this amount.
That was my concern, the budget problem.
Well, we've got a food line item in the budget, so it won't be an issue. It's just a transfer that I have to make with the finance department. But the money that we have allocated in there right now is going to pay for the lunches for the election in November. So what I'll just have to do is just move money from another line item with approval from finance and then approval from the board.
Do you need our approval first to go to finance?
Yeah, I need a motion.
All right. So do I have a motion that we move forward with a poll worker appreciation event sometime after the first of the year?
So moved.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Carries 4-0. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is for staff comments. Stacy?
I just would like to say that I'm extremely happy with the turnout of the voters for this runoff election and for the November general election. I want to thank all the voters who came out and stood in the lines to exercise their right to vote, and for their patience while they were waiting in the lines. We had some people waiting in line for even over an hour, but they were in good spirits, and that I just couldn't thank them enough for the patience that they had with us. They understood that everybody was there to do a job, and we're very grateful for them. Those lines, everyone saw them in every county across the state, so it just wasn't us. So just a thank you to all voters, not just here in Pickens County, but all over the state of Georgia. I'd like to thank my staff, my office staff, my poll workers, my IT. We've been working nonstop on an election since September. Nobody really understands that they think early voting and election day. We start in August and September, and it has been ongoing ever since. There's so much that goes into getting it ready, and they've just all been phenomenal. And I just really feel like we have one of the best election staffs in the state of Georgia, and I could not do this job without each and every one of them. I want to thank the rec center and their employees for graciously hosting us, letting us use their facility and being patient with us through the lines and everything that went on. Nathan Jones and the road department, his guys, they move our equipment to the precincts, they pick it up anytime we need anything. They're wonderful at just being there to help us. I want to thank the board members for all their help on election day. I mean, I know that y'all don't think y'all are doing a whole lot, but really y'all are helping us more than you even know. So I want to thank y'all. The risk limiting audit that we're going to be doing, that will be Wednesday the 14th at 1 o'clock in the elections office. We're only going to have 3 audit teams this time, so we will be able to have it in office and not have to transport the ballots, which will be a little bit easier on our office staff. And
How long do you think it'll take? Is it, what are we auditing, do you know yet?
the Senate race is the only race we have, but we don't know which batches we're going to audit until that morning. That's one of the things that's a little hard on our office, is when we did the audit back in June, we had all our information ahead of time, and we were able to know what we were going to audit, so we knew how many teams we were going to need. This, because it's at random, we don't find out till the morning of what we're auditing. So we don't know what batches, but we do know the race is the only race we had on the ballot, which was the Senate race.
If it's not early voting, then it won't be much of a problem.
Well, we got selected for early voting last time. Shouldn't take more than a couple hours. I just thought that it would be a little bit easier to do it after lunch. That way everybody has lunch before they come in, and we don't have to break in the middle of it, and hopefully can get it done within a couple hours. But we'll find out that morning which batches are selected for us to do.
Do you have the people selected to come in?
I do.
Same people who are doing the other one? No.
The people that are doing the audit boards did participate in the last audit, yes.
So they know what's going on.
But I'm not using all 6 teams, so I'm only using 3 audit boards. And then just a reminder, we are planning on, and unless something comes up, we are planning on canceling the January meeting, because Rhonda and I will be at a Jarvis conference that the state's mandating us to go to on the date of the meeting. So unless something just comes up that has to be addressed for January, we will cancel January's meeting.
Okay, so we won't meet again till February.
Unless we end up having to have a special call meeting for some reason. And then this has just been an extremely busy year for all of us, board members, staff, poll workers. We've had 4 elections back to back. We've had 3 risk limiting audits. We're tired. We're very tired. And my staff and myself plan on having some much needed family time during this holiday season. And then we'll be ready to hit the ground running come January. So.
All right. Thank you, Stacy. Any public comments? All right. Board comments. Ms. Becky, we'll start down at your end.
No comments. Everybody has said what needed to be said about how everybody did such a good job, so I'll just reiterate that.
Thank you. Mike?
Ditto, but phenomenal job, staff and everyone.
I agree. It's been a fantastic experience working with everybody that I couldn't be prouder to say I'm part of this team. So thank you, and thank everybody, like you say, the voters and the poll workers and all the staff, everybody, even you, Phil, thank you. We appreciate you too.
That's right.
Larry?
I will go along with that, and I also compliment the voters that stood in those lines for that length of time and had the nice attitude they had once they got up there. They were just an absolute dream to deal with. And I appreciate that.
For sure.
And I agree with all those comments as well. The other thing I'd like to raise, though, is the compressed schedule between the election and the runoff, which was, Georgia law. And I mean, it may or may not come up, I guess, in the next legislative session. And I don't know if I need to make a motion or whatever, but I'd like Stacy to be able to respond. I mean, because we might not be having a meeting in January if something were to come up during the session. So.
There's already a bill in process. A Democratic representative from, I think, Gwinnett County is going to present a bill with specific guidelines for runoffs which has to be more than 6 weeks or more than a month to do it. There's a number that recognize the crunch that takes place in that short span of time, and it's just not reasonable.
Right, and I think it goes back to the comments that Stacy made, is that I think that the general public, and I'll include the legislators in that, don't understand what is required before an election and then after an election. So you guys were scrambling, or not scrambling, but you were working very hard to finish up everything you had to finish to make sure the election was accurately reported and correct. And then you had to start getting prepared for the new runoff, just in just such a short period of time, and that's really unreasonable, I think.
I agree, and then the longer lines were as a result of the compressed time frame.
Right.
So 5 days versus 17.
I think logistically too, the postal service
Yes.
and the printing of the absentee ballots from the state was even really hard pressed in
Yes.
there too, so.
I think everybody was compressed.
Mhm.
The entire process was compressed.
Something I would suggest is, and I've talked to Rick Jaspers about getting together with him before session, that he could go down with some points, bullet points from us of things that we see that need to be done. And if you get that information to me, I'll set up a meeting with Rick to where I can make sure he's got that in hand before session starts.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a number of things that we stumbled across in the course of the last couple of elections that are a little difficult and should be addressed. Particularly the questions that were raised by a lot of folks in our community that came in here and wanted us to do a recount. And we had agreed to do that, and we haven't done that yet. So we need to address that, and we have to do it through the legislature because we can't do it on our own.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about the best way to put this. But I think if we're going to take an action as a board, that the entire board needs to be involved in that discussion. And while I appreciate you want to meet with Rick, I mean, I personally don't think that's really appropriate if you plan to represent something that the board, representing yourself as a member of the board. I think that's something that the board needs to agree upon as a whole.
If the board wants to have a meeting and talk about those points that y'all see, that you would like to address, I don't mind meeting with Rick on behalf of the board. I don't mind sitting down and talking to him, especially about the things, on my end of, as far as operating the office and the crunched deadlines, and I would be happy to present my points as well as yours to him, and y'all approve my points beforehand.
I think it's a good idea because he's gonna have questions that you can really get into about the minutia of
And
what.
is it January when the session starts back?
The session starts, but it goes for 60 days.
Yeah,
So there will be time to.
Our liaison, and our regional facilitator, in Catoosa County, they were phenomenal last year during the legislative session. I know y'all probably remember me sending y'all updates, almost daily, if not daily, weekly. We got updates from somebody that was down there, and letting us know what bills were being presented and what was going to be pushed through. So if they do that again this year, I'll make sure that I continue to forward that information on to each one of you, so that way y'all know the same information that I'm finding out.
That'd be great.
But I'd still, shoot the things that we encountered through the course of the last year since Senate Bill 202 was introduced. At least since that time, the stumbling blocks that we've run into that we haven't been able to move because of the way that bill was written.
And maybe Stacy could start a list. I'm sure she's already got one, if truth be told, that she's been thinking about since everything happened. And if you start a list, and then you could, send that to us, and then if we need to meet to discuss, we can call a meeting, and we would at least have your list if you weren't going to be able to be present of sometime in January while you were away, that we met for your training.
And we already have, like, somebody, I don't remember, was it the Douglas County guy, he was gonna do a letter over some of this stuff that was a lot of, I'm sure, some of the same things we encountered. I don't remember what his name,
Milton
Kid.
So,
I mean, I personally think it would be better if we're gonna do some kind of a letter for us to do it as the Pickens County Board and not glop on to somebody else's letter. I mean, unless it's all 159 counties, and then that would be okay.
Well,
but
I wasn't
just,
suggesting that per se, I'm just saying he's already got, that they bulleted a number of points in that I think probably the entire state, from an election perspective, all agree to.
probably very similar to the list Stacy would already have
Exactly.
going to, yeah, I understand.
And refashion it to meet our specific needs and put it on your letterhead.
All right. Sounds like some good ideas that we get that going, especially if there's already talk of a bill that's going to be started, so.
We
Okay.
want to be ready to be introduced.
Yeah. All right, any other board comments? I would also like to just take a minute to thank Mary for coming and recording these, and Rhonda for coming and being a part here, and wish everybody a happy holiday season at the office too. I know that y'all have worked very hard, so if you're less available because you're taking time to be with your families, we respect that and we understand, and thank you. So happy holidays for all of that. Do I have a motion that we adjourn?
Motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
All right, carries. Thank you.